Me versus Komodo, one man, one lizard, one chance at redemption for humanity. All right, and so the match should be getting started here in just a moment, and just like that, we're off. Komodo, Grandmaster Komodo. I think should there be a title much higher than Komodo, much higher than Grandmaster for Komodo? Maybe we should invent our own new icons, and invent our own icon or something for the computer, right? Something that just says like something that's like badass or something, right? All right, so seriously, I am going to really focus during this match today. You may have noticed it even looks a little bit darker in my room. Why is that? Because in my studio, okay. I need to make a move here relatively quickly. Let me do that. I'm up the exchange. An open position favors me, and I believe in the potential of simplification when I have a rook and they have a knight. So I'm making my move here, and now I'm going to continue my intro. What I was saying is I actually have my normal professional lighting set up. Ready? You can see it. I have it turned off because I'm a human being. Okay, and these lights over several hours during those Speed Chess Championship matches and other things, they fry my brain. Like, I think I'm losing years of my life by hosting chess shows for all of you. So you're welcome, but also during a match where I really want my maximum brain capacity and I don't want the extra, I don't know, it's hard, honestly. So I lowered the green screen. We got our soundproof environment. We got no lights. This is an intimate setting. This is one man, one dragon, a whole bunch of people on the internet watching it. That sounded really weird. One man, one dragon, a bunch of people on the internet watching it. Okay, so here we go. This is going to be fun. Now, why did I play a Scandinavian? I'm here to provide instruction, not just entertain myself. And this is a serious match, by the way. This is Team Chess.com versus Team Komodo. A lot of things going back and forth about trying to make these some regular events. So if you really enjoy these debates of what the material odds needs to be for human beings to be able to compete with the strongest artificial intelligence on the chessboard that exists, you're looking right into it. Yeah, the eclipse happened right here in the office. That's right. Thanks for being here, my whole team, Pete, Kirkwood, everybody. Let's keep engine evals out of the chat. Okay, so I played d5, and again, I did this at the risk of losing some time. Okay, with my queen recapturing, and my goal is that opening the position and creating more natural dynamic chances, right? Situations where the pieces are going to conflict. My goal is that situation could be potentially advantageous for me because I'm okay with simplifying. In this position, I'm up the exchange, although remember, he has a pawn for it, right? Oh, no, he doesn't. No, I'm up in exchange and a pawn. That's right. I'm up in exchange and a pawn. He's missing the rook on a1, a pawn on a2, in exchange for my knight on b8. So d5 was played again with my intention that if I can make some trades early, I can hopefully get toward roads where the rook... You want open lines anyway for the rook. So if you're thinking, how do you convert, not just on a crazy man versus machine battle, but general advice for you as a chess player. I mean, when you have the rook versus a minor piece, generally open files are favorable for you because you want those opportunities for the rooks to get on those files and flex those muscles, right? That's what you want. And so that's what I'm going to try to do. Now that I've played d5, I'm debating. Should I take on d5 with the queen? And after knight to c3 gaining a tempo, I can slide the queen over to a5. What's interesting about that line is I wonder if in some of those positions the pawn can come to b4, I capture, and maybe they play knight d5, forking the queen in the c7 pawn, I back up the queen. It doesn't seem like there's a reality of an initiative getting too crazy there. And I don't see a reason to play knight f6 and to try and delay gaining my pawn back. I'm not sure that Komodo really plays c4. If knight f6, c4, e6, d takes e6, bishop takes e6, he does get d4, something like bishop b4 check, I quickly castle. Those types of positions where I've given back my pawn and I've developed rapidly, I think those are also the practical types of approaches that a human being needs to take to be successful against the machine. I have a material advantage, and I need to know exactly what type of position I want to exercise the muscles of that material advantage, and opening the position with a rapid development is on my mind, and that's why I played d5. By the way, hashtag Team Scandi. John Bartholomew would love this opening against the extra exchange Komodo. But I actually don't know. I don't know if I want to play queen takes d5, knight c3, queen a5, bishop c4, knight f6, d4, e6, quick development. I think that, queen d5, knight c3, queen a5. If he develops bishop c4, I can also play like knight f6, d4, and c6. It's a little strange, but the advantage there is I'm not down the pawn, despite the small loss of time, and I've still managed to open that d-file, which, as we've said, is something I want with the rook versus the miner. Knight f6, c4, e6. D takes e6, bishop takes e6. If he doesn't play d4, then a lot of times black gets c5 in those positions, and this pawn becomes a backward pawn. So they play d4. You get bishop e4 check, and then they develop. You're going to take it and get castled quickly. I like the idea of those open files and my pieces coming very, very quickly to the e8 and d8 square. I really, really do. I'm actually not sure which one I want. I know the computer might evaluate that playing knight f6 and e6 is less, not as good as just taking the pawn on d5. But computers are materialistic. That's right, Komodo. Trash talk has been thrown down. Broughton, okay? You better bring your A game, okay? I really, really am taking this seriously despite my crazy antics. I think both are probably fine. I wonder if knight f6, c4, if I can even play c6, takes, d4. I'm going to have the b file. I don't really want that, though. So you want e6, you want takes. Something about me just doesn't really want to play the position, having already given back a little bit of my material advantage to Komodo. So I'm going to go take the pawn. Decision made. Check in with the chat. How's it going? Thanks for being here. We got a pretty good crowd, considering this is kind of a new, not necessarily a new show, but a show we haven't done in a while. So I want to give a shout out to Rick, RCTMID, GDog16, Donald Trump Chess, Evangelinum 2, Wazman, What About What Noobs, Blarg McBlarg, Defy Physics, White Dancing Rockstar. I got to be careful reading Twitch usernames on the chat. Let me go over to the Chess TV chat. Say hey to everybody. Electric Colony. Don't spam with URLs or anything else, or you gonna be bounced from chat, boy. Magnuts Carlson. Obviously, you're here. Wouldn't want you to do anything else on a day besides show up to a Danny show and make fun of me. Good to know you got your priorities straight. John HS, what's up, dog? Farley6, what's up? Daniel Zion, what's up? Hey, everybody. All right. I'm saying hi to the chat now. I want you guys to know early. I'm going to try to be interactive as possible. Obviously, as this show goes on, my job is to focus and win and to talk about my thought process out loud, giving you whatever instructional stuff I can. So knight f3, I think the most natural thing to do is to immediately play the move knight f6, but I'm going to avoid immediate reactions because I wonder, when you get a chance to put the pawn in the center in these Scandinavians, John Bartholomew would be proud of that, right? If e5 was played, knight to c3, queen a5, okay, then there's positions where maybe they sack the b-pawn and they get knight takes e5 for sure. But the point is this, if I can play e5 and actually hold on to that pawn, I prevented them from getting the most dynamic, most aggressive expansion in the center possible. So there's some merits to that if I could try to justify e5. But something tells me not to go down that wilderness this early. I'm just going to play knight f6. I think it was because if e5, knight c3, queen a5, and even then d4, I felt if the position opened up too quickly, I didn't want to give white any kind of initiative. Now that I've got my lone standing open file, I tend to go into that mode of, all right, let's be consistent and play principled chess. Don't give him any unnecessary chances. Get that king out of the center, and then try to go to work on these two open files here, right? Bring the game, bring the magic, bring the noise, bring the funk. All right. Time control again. If you ask any questions in the chat, we got some team members there to help you. It's 45 minutes plus a 30-second increment. So this is serious. This is seriously decent quality chess, or it may be. All right, knight c3. So what's funny is, should I consider an old school Scandi and just bring the queen back to d8? The queen is certainly more aggressive on a5, right? And it would stand to reason that there's no reason to retreat the active queen, especially with his rook missing on the a file. I don't feel like I'm going to be really worried about what's going on with my queen over there. But let's analyze it. If queen a5, d4, e6, bishop to d2, hitting the queen, I can play even c6 there. That's sort of a typical thing, right? If they move the knight with discovery, you can bring the queen back to d8, and we're not really worried about trades from that perspective. So I think if queen a5, d4, e6, if bishop f4, the advantage of having the queen on a5 is I could play bishop b4 or something. So the queen on a5 is definitely a little more irritating, right? So the question is, can the queen be attacked and tempoed? And you have to treat these positions as unique, even though you could say, just play queen a5, Danny. It's like a Scandinavian and their rook and pawn is gone. And you might be right. Just trying to be aware of where the tactics might suggest that he does something more aggressive than you might normally do because of the material imbalance and because the position is open. But I don't think so. And I feel like queen a5 is the most active square for the queen. I feel solid about that, and I like it. So, okay. Looking great. Things going well. Just checking in. At the initial beginning of my shows, I'm always checking in on tech and chat, making sure everybody's happy. It's my job. Sorry. Can't let go. Making sure you're happy. Now I will focus, and I will bring the noise. You're going down, Komodo. By the way, in a real fight, what's the threshold where I, as a human being, as a full-grown man who does CrossFit, okay, when am I no longer capable of beating a Komodo in a real fight? Like, I know they're beastly. I know they're like some of the most dangerous animals. You know that they eat their young? You know that I read all about this in the Phoenix Zoo. I took my kids to the zoo the other day, and I read this Komodo dragon thing, and they're saying how, like, when they're younger born, their first instinct, they're born knowing how to run up into the tree to avoid their mom from eating them. Talk about therapy, right? That is insanity. So, fun facts about Komodo, they eat their own young. But from a serious question here, as serious as questions can ever get when I'm hosting a chess TV show, I want to see a vote. I want to vote. Can we get a vote on Twitter, maybe from the Chess.com account? Like, what's the age of an actual Komodo dragon where Danny could no longer win in a real wrestling match? Okay, maybe it bites me and gets a hold of some point, whatever, but I'm like physically that much stronger for how long? So can we get some feedback on that? I want to know mentally, what you guys think about my ability to physically take a Komodo dragon for realsies. All right, so in the Scandinavian, obviously you've lost a little bit of time with the queen, but how do you justify that approach? Well, you've got the open d file, which as the position develops becomes an important strategical factor because black can naturally put a bishop here, undermine the knight, and therefore have more pressure on the d file. Black can look for ways to strike against a d pawn in the center with both c5 and e5, depending on what happens in the middle game. Depending on white's approach, sometimes in mainline Scandinavians, this queen gets tickled a little more, right? Maybe she has to go all the way back. Maybe she goes to c7. Things happen when the lady wanders away from home this early in the game. But, good to describe the general positional features you're getting in a Scandinavian. Can we get Electric Colony to kind of be banned or something with his spamming of the chat? It's distracting me. So I'm just going to go ahead and mute that guy. There we go. Wait, apparently he's not muted. Huh. Electric Colony, dude, I'm going to find a way to ban your IP address if you mock me mid-Chess TV chat. All right. Komodo's still thinking. I feel pretty good about my chances here, and there's not a lot to think about now. This might be the time in a real game where you walk around and say hi to some other people. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So if they have dangerous bacteria in their mouth, I know that. I know they have dangerous bacteria in their mouth. I'm aware of that. But I think that I could also avoid a bite at a certain age of like deception, right? I feel like I could avoid a bite for a little while. I don't know why, Bobby Tilparov. I think it's because I think the rook is on b8 to start and not a8 because it gives Komodo a little bit more help because Komodo is down an exchange and a pawn. With the rook on b8, I don't have the ability to castle long, which is a I think potentially a dynamic option that Black would want. So that's kind of partly also you take away the knight on b8 so you can fill that square. But I think it's mainly to destroy the rights of castling queenside. So that's the main thing. That's the main thing. All right. A move has been made. Now Komodo isn't thrilled with his chances because as soon as you see this, as soon as you see bishop to d3, this is obviously we are not in Kansas anymore, right? No, not a Scandinavian and not a position with a lot of action coming to the center, which makes you feel good if you're Black. I mean, I feel confident that I have numerous decent options here. I mean, c6 certainly comes to mind. It guards both d5, b5, also opens up the avenue to the queen, right? So you got c6. But the bishop on d3 is just not ideal. It blocks the pawn, which blocks the bishop. So likely you're anticipating a development scheme from Komodo that involves b3 and bishop to b2. Put the bishop on this diagonal. That would be the one way to not worry about the fact that this blocked a center pawn. So one thing I could consider if I really want to have good dynamic traction against that is to play g6. Normally that's not a move you have a ton of time for in the Scandinavian because, the center's open, you're losing time with the queen. Those types of fianchettos aren't the most common thing in a Scandinavian. But it feels natural here, doesn't it? It feels like if he's in a position where, he's got a potential tactic on this diagonal, right? You love fianchetto structures when it comes to sort of making one of these bishops chew on granite. Also, if you get g6, b2, bishop g7, bishop b2, then, you're in a position tactically where you're not worried about any of these shots because you're just going to get a whole bunch of trades with the rooks. So short of one of these moves just being needed due to some sort of tactical reasons in the center, which I don't see, g6 feels like a no-brainer, and I am going to play it. Still liking my chances here against Komodo. All right, lots of fun. Lots of fun. I love the chat. You guys are just so fun. Just letting you know I'm here in the Chess TV chat in case you think it's an illusion. Hey everyone. Yeah, let's get that vote. Oh, here we go. The vote has already started in Twitch. So how do I do a vote Danny. Did that work? I don't know. I'm going to try to vote for Danny in this battle of who would win in an actual wrestling competition, Danny or Komodo Dragon. Let's also say that just to say that, so I'm not going to die if this match ever takes place in real life. I'm near a hospital. Okay, let's say there are some other factors here, right? The question is, what's the tipping point in terms of age and size where you no longer think I'm capable of winning that battle? Secondly, let's assume that even if it's a small one, there's a hospital nearby. I don't want to die, right? If I get bit, Venom starts going crazy. Right now, who's laughing, right? The Komodo Dragon. So Danny just voted for himself. # confidence. That's right. That's right. No other factors. I don't have a samurai sword. I'm not going to start adding things. Though if I have some sort of weapon that is legally, allowed to be carried in the state of California, which there's very few of them, then that should be legal. I mean, come on, right? California, one of the most liberal limited states, right? So if I got some mace or something, that should be legal. I think so. Anyway. All right. Anyway, it's a lot of fun. Thanks for being here. If you're just joining us, this is Man versus Machine. This is International Master Danny Rensch versus the strongest Komodo chess engine on the market. This is Komodo version 11.22 plus, being relayed live from the founder's office, where he has a computer that speaks of legends. Every time I hear of this computer, the legend grows. People are like, it cost him $25,000, a supercomputer. People are like, no, man, I heard it was $125,000. Like, really? Yeah. And he keeps the computer on ice just to keep it cold. That's how hot the computer is. Like, the legend about Larry Kaufman's computer just continues to grow, right? So that's where this game is being played from. All right. Caxels, Vakarovka. We played. Okay. So this was problem. I did not see. This was part of his idea, I guess, huh? When he castles, I have to deal with this potential if I play bishop g7, rook e1, and I can't castle because e7. If I play e6, it's just usually kind of a risky thing on the dark squares. But I may have to go for that, right? Bishop g7. If he plays rook e1, I can play c6 to kind of hold the fort for a minute, unless there's tactics on the diagonal. Bishop g7, rook e1, e6. Let's say he plays b4, and I play queen takes b4, and then he plays knight to b5 because he wants bishop a3, and I castle, and he plays bishop a3, and I play queen a5, and he takes f8, and I take f8. In the end of that line, I'm no longer up the exchange. However, I am up 2 pawns, and there's been trades made. It's an interesting idea, actually. Again, the way that humans have to outplay engines at times is take advantage of their assessment that is based inherently on math. So this is, again, advice for you that can be both practical and apply to your own games when trying to convert advantages. Also, if you ever find yourself on Chess TV in a material odds match in that oddly specific scenario, you now have some experience. No, but seriously, the point is, the way engines are evaluating this based on math is he might be evaluating a line like bishop g7, rook e1, e6, b4 sacrifice, queen takes b4, knight to b5, hitting c7 with check. I castle to avoid him playing bishop a3 with an initiative. He plays bishop a3, but now it's a skewer of my queen and rook, right? So then I play queen a5, he takes f8, I take back with my bishop, now over here on g7, okay? And we're in a situation where he now has his exchange back. But he's down 2 pawns, and he's made a significant trade of his dark square bishop. So one of the way, like I said, so sometimes the way advantages are blown is by not allowing the position to evolve into a new type of advantage. Now, that's not a justification to just, oh, I'm up a queen, let me go sacrifice a rook, because that helps me, get down. I can sacrifice material if I'm winning. I mean, you have to be careful, but it is something that should always be on the forefront of your technique consciousness, right? Is there an opportunity to trade this position down, even though the mathematical advantage, the computer advantage, is less, it actually might be an easier position to play. So that's something that I'm going to be continuing to look for during this match. So bishop g7, rook e1, e6, b4. I can also say no thank you and play like queen over to h5. Let's just say I do. It's something nutty. Oh, he has rook e5 in some of those positions. So this is the thing about playing the computers, is they will help you in your prophylactic thinking, because you have to be on edge or they will crash you. They'll crash you. Yeah, get it. Get to the chopper. Bishop g7, rook e1. If I castle, that's the other way to do it, is to castle and give him the e7 pawn, and then play bishop g4. Because if he plays h3 and I play rook I trade and play rook e8, that's the other way, right? So we talk about sacrificing the exchange. I can simplify and give up the e pawn and force another trade. I actually am going to go for this now. The more I feel like there's going to be opportunities for me to take a practical approach to his e-file pressure. So I'm going to go ahead and play bishop g7. Okay, what am I missing? That is a strange move by Komodo. If c6, there's no knight d5, I take with the knight. c6, b4. I can even play queen to c7 there, and I've gained a tempo and I can castle. The other thing is I could play bishop d7 here and invite the trade. Bishop d7 takes, knight takes. That's one more piece off the board. It's interesting. I mean, he could play rook e1 there. And again, we may have some lines with e6, and I can get castled. Bishop d7, bishop takes d7, knight takes d7. If b4 there, queen takes b4, knight d5, queen d6, and he has no follow-up. So if bishop d7 takes, b4, queen b4, where's the tactical follow-up? I don't see it. Rook e1, I can play e6. Even there, he plays knight d5, I play queen d6. Bishop d7 takes, d4. Let's just say he plays something logical. Castles. I've traded off another piece, and I actually don't mind my knight there. I like the bishop open. I can play e6 and c6. It feels very solid. If bishop d7 takes, rook e1, again, e6. And what's the big deal? He plays d4, I castle. He plays d5, I'll take it. He takes with the knight. I play rook to d8. He can't play bishop d2 because queen takes d5. If knight e7 check, king h8, and it's fine. He has b4 there, though, and then the c7 pawn falls. So let's look at that line again. Bishop d7, bishop takes, knight takes, d4 castles, rook e1, e6, d5. So bishop d7 takes, d4 castles, rook e1, e6, d5, e d5, knight d5, rook d8, guarding my knight. If knight e7 check, king h8. He has b4 there, hitting the queen because it's protected by the knight. And if I move the queen, he wins the c7 pawn. If b4 and I move the queen to something like a2 and he takes, though, I can move this knight with discoveries like knight e5, and I'm forcing another exchange. So at the end of a line like bishop d7, bishop takes, knight takes, rook e1, e6, d4, Rekharovka, d5, takes, knight takes, rook d8. I think that position's fine for me. So if bishop d7, am I really just being biased about wanting to exchange pieces, or does that make sense? I mean, bishop d7 makes sense. The thing is, c6 also makes sense. Bishop d3 was a bad move by Komodo. I know that, like, Larry's out there being offended. Komodo never makes bad moves. Okay, come on, right? I mean, that's the whole thing. The computers evaluate things differently because of these material odds. Bishop d3 is like a weird move. I mean, how is bishop b5, bishop d3 the right plan? So if c6 and he moves the bishop and I just get castled, it just, I just hyper accelerated my development. I can play bishop g4 and put a rook on the d file. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But at the same time, I don't know, knowing my human perspective is not even to punish it if the computer thinks c6 is better. I don't know. But bishop d7, making exchanges just feels more natural. I'm going to do it. Bishop d7. Exchanges are, it's on. It is on like Donkey Kong, okay? You get it. Yeah. I feel like I don't know why, it's like my own little SNL characters. He is always dramatic, okay? He is exhausted. This is my character. Yeah, anyway, I'm working on it. But okay. Things don't seem like they're the worst position I've ever had in my life. Check on chat real quick. Komodo is very nice. Okay, I'm not even going to read that right now. Not going to read that one out loud from the Twitch chat. Appreciate it. Checking back on the Chess.com TV chat. How's everyone doing? People are fine. Looking good. Danny, can you do a simul while playing yeah, that makes sense. I should just start playing some of you members during the downtime, right? Because that'll lead to the best quality play. Greetings from Austria. What's up, Mr. Fruit Loops? I'm not playing you bullet right now, Magnets. Okay? This is an educational show with an entertaining host who's here to beat the pants off of Komodo. Oh, yeah. And by pants, I mean whatever a Komodo dragon would wear to the office, on a Monday. Bishop takes d7. Okay, so obviously I'm taking with the knight. So following through with my plan quickly, I'm feeling like the simplification here has been pretty straightforward. There don't seem to be any like really aggressive dynamic things to do here, right? The things you would get afraid of as a human here are the things like the Inter wouldn't do, it looks like crazy B4 sacks, right? Because when you're up the exchange as a human, you always want it to be an easy road to victory, right? You want the position to just kind of convert itself. And that can get you in trouble, right, against other human beings. But against computers, like really the most important thing is always high-level prophylaxis. Be on your toes all the time. Do not calculate expecting variations to work for you. So again, no reason not to play e6 here, right? Castles is interesting, and if he takes the pawn, we think that there's this potential where I could eventually bring the rook to the e-file and trade. But I don't see any reason not to play e6. Normally, this is sort of a no-no, only in the circumstances where your opponent could get quick control over a diagonal, thus preventing you from getting castled. But I actually don't even see how that's possible. If I play e6 and he plays b4, and I grab another pawn, he can't even play bishop a3, or really anything else. So, you know, it seems like a pretty straightforward idea. I'm going to go for it. I'm liking it. I like e6. Who knows? Maybe this will turn out to be a good match for me. Maybe I can play some good chess over these next couple of days. So if you've got plans on a Tuesday, tomorrow's where you reschedule those plans. We got 10 a.m. Pacific time, yours truly versus the strongest chess engine on the planet, hooked up to supercomputer juice. It's basically illegal. I mean, you know, when I go riding a bike, I don't put a motor on the bike. Okay? Come on, Larry. Right? Give me some chances here. And then at 2 p.m. So we got 3 matches in this little mini game match. And this is a good little precursor to our Speed Chess Championship matches this week. If you don't know it, we got August 23rd. We have Zinopomniachtchi versus Levon Aronian. And then on August 24th, we have Fabiano Caruana versus Ho Yifan. That is going to be epic. So a full week on Chess TV this week. Y'all's got nothing else to do. I like my chances. What's going on? Is this going to be magical? Maybe I've got some magic in me, right? Every time I touch that piece, it turns into gold. Right? I've got the magic in me. Every time I touch that track, it turns into gold. Everybody knows I've got the magic in me. When I hit the floor, the girls come crashing to me. Everybody wants some presto magic, magic, magic. Magic, 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 oh, ooh. I got the magic in me. D4, Rakarovka. I like it. What are the other ideas here? I think Komodo's going down. I don't think this is the right start. I also really like my Scandinavian approach. I only saw the Fens like an hour or two before this match. So it wasn't like I had a lot of prep or anything. I zero prep. Look at me. Do I look like a guy who prepares for anything? No, but I did look at the position and kind of make an assessment of what I wanted to do with this D5 idea, and I like this idea. I'm coming around to this idea. This guy. Okay. There. Okay, 94. Prophylaxis thinking. Where is that pony going? He's gonna play D4, and then what? I'd love to play C5 now and just say, no thank you. Right? But no, that allows knight d6 check. So Rekarovka seems like the most natural thing to do, and probably in the interest of practical chess, I really shouldn't take too much time thinking about it. So I will do this guy. Right, we will castle. Da. We say Das Vidanya to the center, and we get the king over here. All right. Hope everybody's enjoying it. Again, if you have questions about the format or what this match is, please post them in the chat. Team members will help you out. Thanks for being here. About 500 of you live viewers. The man versus machine match is going down. The show is back. I'm excited to do this. I want to bring this show back, especially the longer time, which I feel so much less stress. I feel like people even on my own team would give me feedback, not happy with man versus machine, because basically it's not a good show when the host gets depressed, right? Even for those of you who really like me to lose. I get it. There's a lot of them, right? it's just not great fun, right? It's like watching a bad episode of The Office where Steve Carell is always awkward as Michael Scott, but if the episode isn't funny, it's like, right? I mean, you don't want to do that on a man versus machine show. So even if, I'm not saying I'm not going to lose this match or Komodo's not going to beat me down. What I'm saying is it's more fun when I have more time. I feel like I'm not like engaging in chat, hosting a chess TV show, playing the world's strongest chess engine, and playing it in blitz games, that just seems dumb. Like, why do I do that, right? Playing with some longer time controls, this is fun. Because everyone likes playing winning positions, right? So even if I find some way to blunder and lose, at least the majority of the show will have been enjoyable. So, okay. If he plays d4, the question is, can I play c5? Let's analyze this. Why do I want c5? Well, when you have the rooks versus the minor piece, obviously you're continuing to strive for opening the position. So if I can get away with c5, I got to calculate it. d4, c5, there are two main considerations to me. One is d5. He strikes in the center and refuses my offering of trading. Because if I take there, he takes with the queen, and now we have this pony under fire, and if the pony moves, the c5 pawn falls. If I move this rook, maybe b7 falls. You know what would be weird about that line for him, though? He has to be careful about his rook if his queen had left. So, anyway, interesting. So the engine plays h4. This is interesting. This is kind of the all-in perspective, right? This is the Komodo is sort of all in now in this position, trying to get an attack. I want to put a rook on the d file. My question is, which rook? If I move the f rook, it feels like, oh, that's what you should do because this rook is already developed. But I don't know that I'm doing anything over here. Whereas the f rook is probably needed. Like if I play rook here, and at some point this rook might be needed on the e file or on the f file as Komodo continues to bring pieces to this side of the board. So that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking rook b to d8 makes a whole lot of sense here. H5 is not really a threat as long as my queen is on the rank, right? I'm not really worried about him sacrificing that pawn willy-nilly unless it's going to open up my king. So if he's going to sack, he's going to want to do something about the lady first. And if I play rook to d8, that just feels natural, right? Rook d8. Now if they play d4, perhaps I've got c5, right? Because obviously their d5 is no bueno. I can trade and play knight f6, get some sort of discovery, and make further trades. Even if he ends up winning a pawn or something, it doesn't seem like he's going to want to trade off everything. That's going to get me closer to my road to victory. So one thing about the rook on d8 is I have to worry sometimes about tempos of this bishop on g5. So I want to be aware of that. It actually almost made me consider, instead of rook d8, I wonder if knight f6 first is interesting. Offer a trade, and if he declines it, like by moving the knight somewhere, I can bring the knight to a central square, right? That's nice. Knight f6. If they take and I take, I mean, that's further simplification of the position, right? I mean, so certainly trades are still not something I'm unhappy about, given that as his dynamic possibilities disappear, easier for my rooks to kind of, take the reins here. So knight f6 making a lot of sense to me as well. Right now I'm considering both knight f6 and the move rook b to d8 as my main two candidate moves. Because he didn't play d4, the other move I had in my mind initially was c5 to kind of say, all right, well, you didn't take it, now no more. But I don't want to cut off the queen. I feel like if I play the move c5, he's going to slide over, or he's going to play h5 and my queen can no longer slide over. So it just doesn't feel right. Knight f6, what would be some other possible drawbacks to this move? It also opens up protection of the e5 square. So if knight f6, knight g3, rook d8, does he have something on e5? Probably not. And honestly, in some positions, I might bring my queen to a1. That could get real nice. You know what I'm saying, right? That's going to be real nice, Daddy. Daddy, I like it when you put your queen over there on a1. All right. You see here, let's get over here. Let's get a little control the open file, you see. I like rook d8. I like it a lot. Rook d8, d4. c5 seems okay. Bishop g5, f6. He moves back the bishop. Actually, it makes me think, I wonder if knight f6 he moves, then rook d8 makes sense, because the knight on f6 guards h5, and if my rook's on d8 and the d-file's open, rook e5 is not really a thing if I can play rook d5. Knight f6 is feeling like the human move, because I want to simplify, but also not a bad idea. I'm going to do it. Now, you see here, right? Get over here, you see. Why are so many people spamming the Chess TV chat? What is wrong with you guys today? Man, Twitch is the most behaved chat between the two. All right? Now, that's nothing against you Twitchers. That's like when mom says, why can't you be more like your brother, right? And then you're like, not that your brother's better than you. That's like, when someone walks in, they're like, even this person gets it. And then they try to backtrack and say that didn't mean they were implying that you're stupid, right? But it is abusive. I think I'm going to ignore the Chess TV chat, because even premium members, Pete and Matt, if premium members are mouthing off, it doesn't give them any more right than anybody else. Nobody has any special rights there. Get rid of them. Kick them out. All right? Let's have a chat that's enjoyable and contributes, and everybody's here and having fun, not spamming. So let's do that. Hey, Twitch. No, Twitch, don't live up to your expectations, D Fluke. Don't do that. Don't have them live up to. No, Twitch is doing great. Okay, Twitch is always a great chat. Again, this is mommy taking back her insult to the brother, right? You get the two kids there, and why'd you have to misbehave like that? You didn't see him misbehaving, did you? What are you trying to say? He's better than me? No, I love you both differently. He's just obviously more accomplished and more special. Looks more like your father, okay? Clearly my favorite. Yeah, that's right. No, Twitch is behaving. We got a message here. A message from @DogaKelCubing. Hi, Daniel. I'm a young programmer, just started. Me and a friend of mine have been developing a chess engine for about 3 months. Its elo is approximately over 2,600. We'd be so glad if you could play a game against your chess engine on Chess.com. You know what? That's so funny. Pete, will you get their contact info, or Matt? Because Chess.com, can I announce it now? Pete, will you let me know in our Slack team if I can announce what we're doing, even though the news article isn't out yet? Let me know if you think that's cool. Because I got a pretty good audience here that obviously appreciates the idea of man versus machine. So Pete, please let me know if you think I can make our big announcement regarding our event, because I think that these guys could be invited. What do you think? So let me know. Okay. Okay, there. Right, we say das vidanya to another pair of ponies. Yay! Now this American is showing some technique, huh? Yeah. All right. I traded off another set of knights, and obviously my goal when I played this move, you were all here, right? Nobody had left or anything. You were all here. The goal was clear. I wanted to simplify the position further, and even though getting rid of that knight makes you feel a little queasy, because I do lack some minor pieces over here. And if I'm always afraid of my own worst enemy, which is myself, right? Which is if I start playing like an idiot, could happen at any moment. If I lose my focus, then you worry about d4, c3. You have an anchor here, and then you've got, this bishop coming in. You got the knight coming in. You got h5. So if things just went totally nutty, the lack of minor pieces around my king may not be the best thing that ever happened to me, right? I mean, certainly I don't want to get checkmated. Not on my to-do list for today. So that, other than that little little squeamishness, I feel really good about this position. I mean, I've simplified the position pretty well. I've traded things to the point where it should be kind of straightforward. Obviously, I want to put a rook on the d file. Now I'm not so sure which rook, right? Originally it was the b rook. Now maybe the f rook makes sense. It would avoid the tempo of him playing bishop h6, right? It's kind of interesting. The other move that's interesting is against c5. Again, I don't want to play this move because I don't want to cut off my queen. I like what she's doing right now. This is full board, danger zone for black. I mean, she's controlling a lot. So rook d8 is one. If they play bishop h6, the question is a couple things. One, could I just play bishop g7? Maybe it doesn't gain a tempo because I offer yet another exchange. Again, I'm not thrilled about eliminating my dark square bishop because of the potential holes there. But, as the position simplifies out, it's only going to get easier for my rooks to flex their muscles. So rook b to d8 and rook f to d8 are both options here. I'm considering whether I should play rook f d8 if I avoid the tempo and he plays bishop h6 anyway. Maybe then I play like rook d5. Now you're talking, right? Now I've got the rook there. I'm preparing to double on the d file. It feels good. And what else would he do here? I could also just back up the bishop to g7. I know that seems kind of like passive, like a little anticlimactic from Papa Bear over here. But if I put the bishop on g7, I stop bishop h6. If he moves the bishop to another square, I might go greedy Guillermo on this and go grab the b2 pawn, right? I might get all up in greedy Gary's life. So bishop g7 maybe kind of avoids the tempo there. Oh, other interesting points. If I play rook b to d8 and he plays bishop h6, maybe I can take anyway and give him the exchange, because what's funny about that is then we've got that position where I've got two pawns instead of the extra exchange, but I've also got a super dominant bishop versus a not so good knight with a whole bunch of open action going on and this passed a pawn. So rook b to d8 might actually call Komodo's bluff. Are you going to play bishop h6 or not? Let's go for it. Let's do it. I'm so happy I just got a rook to the d file. Can you see what's going on inside here? My heart is pumping. That's right. I've got the magic in me. Everybody knows I've got the magic in me. Oh, every jacket turns into gold. All right, so I've been given confirmation that we can announce the first ever Chess.com Computer Chess Championship. Basically, we are trying to organize our own computer chess kind of world championship. Yeah, obviously, people know, actually many people here may not know of the TCEC, which is kind of the only currently official world championship, but not everybody always shows up. It's interesting, right? We basically want to use the engines we have available, which, obviously we can buy all the engines available to everyone, or those that are open source are obviously available. But basically, the Chess.com Computer Chess Championship is going to go down November 13th through 16th. This is going to be an epic 4-day event. We are putting up a prize fund and that'll go to the developers, as well as potential donations to charity. So the Chess.com team is organizing currently. We actually hired a developer just for this, and we've got some marketing going into it. So we are going to hold our first ever Computer Chess Championship, the Chess.com Computer Chess Championship. Try not to say World Championship because we didn't want to argue about the name, but it's our championship. The best computers. Who will be there? We plan for Komodo to be there, Stockfish, Houdini, just about any engine that's any engine. The list is long. Pete, can you actually list the engines for me and let me know so I can share with the people who we're inviting? But anyway, Chess.com is really excited. It's going to be a rapid event, too, with human commentary. So it'll be the first ever computer chess championship with the best engines in the world invited to play rapid chess with humans providing commentary, trying to abstract things, but also just having a lot of fun looking at the different ways the computers play against each other. So maybe not for everybody. Not everybody is a huge fan of computer chess, but those who are into it, it's fun to see as things are evolving. And who knows, at some point we might reach the moon and one of these computers solves chess. It's amazing to know that we are on the moon and classical chess still isn't solved even by the best computers on the planet. So that's always fun. Anyway, so that's really cool. We are, I think that's sarcasm from Doggo Cubing. Oh, no, it's actually not. He's saying that's pretty cool and he's lucky to be watching this video. That's right. You're the developer. So yeah, if you have an engine, reach out to Pete. I need to focus on this game, but that's something we're doing. Pete, maybe you can share some stuff about the engines we're inviting, and there'll be a news announcement coming out beginning of next week or something, but we've been working on this for a while, and we're pretty excited about it. So, bishop to d2 is played. He's gaining a tempo on my queen. Lottie friggin' da, right? I am Matt Foley, and I live in a van down by the river. Why not just play queen h5? If I play queen h5 and he moves the knight, I trade queens. If he plays g3, I don't even know if I'm going gobbling. I don't even know if I'm going gobbling on the b2 pawn, but it's certainly on my mind, right? I got gobbling on my mind. Queen to b6 is also possible. It just doubles the tempo over here. Queen to b5 is possible. Also doubles the tempo, and then I can play things like a5 and b6 and maybe try to solidify the queen side, trying to use my majority. So the one thing I get nervous about with queen h5, that seems like a no-brainer, but let's say if I play queen h5 and he plays g3 to guard the pawn, and then I go and take this pawn. Let's just go for it, right? Go greedy Guillermo. One, okay, he may be... No, he can't play queen b1. The knight hangs. If I play queen h5 and he plays g3, my worry is the queen's going to get in trouble over here. I can't actually see any concrete lines where white gets my queen in trouble, but that's my worry. I don't want to get my queen in trouble. So if queen h5 is played and g3 is played, and then, you know, I can play some prophylactic moves. You play like a6, right? You play Karpov chess. You just defend all your pawns and avoid tactics. Queen h5, g3, a6. If he plays something like bishop g5, I can take, because if he takes with the knight, I trade queens. If he takes with the pawn, oh, that's actually interesting. If he takes with the pawn, I don't want to get my queen trapped. Oh, that could be interesting, right? Queen h5, g3, a6, bishop g5, takes, pawn takes. If queen g4, he has like rook up here, I can get out. I mean, I can get out, but then he has rook e5. And then like queen h3 or something. It seems a little artificial to believe that black could really, you know, get the queen. I don't know that I could really get my queen trap, but it is a little nerve-wracking. And it's probably because that's how human beings play chess. Remember, I'm not Komodo. I can't just out-calculate him. If I was Komodo, I'd just be winning this position against myself, and it would be really weird. You know, so, you know, I'm trying to play this position in a solid manner that keeps my dynamic chances at their best, which is, of course, my rook versus his minor piece. So if I play queen to b5, one issue with that is if he plays something like b3, you know, queen b5, b3, now rook d5 is no bueno because c4. But if queen b5, b3, rook d7, you know, I can develop. Queen h5, b3, a6, bishop g5, takes, pawn takes. He's also a couple moves away from trapping the queen there, so I could play like h6. Rook e5, I just takes with the rook, queen h6, right? It just doesn't seem very likely that that's really a realistic possibility. I'm not even sure after queen h5, g3, I want to go take the b2 pawn, but it seems possible. If queen h5, g3, I might just play a6, and again, I'm still just kind of sitting tight. I can also play queen d5. Honestly, the queen on d5 seems so good. He can't play c4. Queen d5 feels good. I can play c5 and kind of centralize. Why not just queen d5? Right? Let's do queen d5. I mean, this just feels like the most clearly powerful position for the queen. You know, next I can play a5, as I said, maybe a5 and b6 and c5, and I just want to kind of build up on my majority here. I mean, in a perfect world, I might play a5 and b5 and a4 and actually create a passed pawn where my bishop can help the potential advancement of said passed pawn. But, you know, that's an aggressive plan that may not be necessary. We're getting down on time a little bit. This is a real game. Again, for those of you just joining us, it started out 45 minutes with a 30-second increment. This is man versus machine, a 3-game match with yours truly versus the strongest chess engine on the planet. That is Komodo 11.2.2, you know, the latest version, hooked up to basically a jet engine in wherever Larry Kaufman lives on the East Coast. I think he rotates around some secret government bunker to another. You know, Larry Kaufman, everybody. There you go. I love making fun of Larry on this show. I hope he listens to it. I know Larry well. Love Larry, okay? Played Larry several times in tournaments, but seriously. But, like, if anybody seems like secretly they work for the CIA, it's Larry Kaufman, okay? Like, he's the guy at the NSA who's tapping your phones, okay? And just happens to develop Komodo on the side. That's Larry Kaufman for you. So anyway, thanks for everybody for being here again. We just announced. So yeah, let's talk about this list. So our current list for the Chess.com Computer Chess World Championship, again, November 13th through 16th, is Komodo, Stockfish, Houdini, Shredder, Fire, Fizbo, and SCACS. I don't even know how to say that. And Socks, Chiron, Goal, and Boot. We're also going to invite Equinox. As kind of a backup participant, possibly. Now we've got this guy in the chat here. Maybe he doesn't qualify, but we basically want to encourage developers to work hard and to help us grow the world of chess engines into the future. And I think one way we can do that is holding an annual awesome event, the Chess.com Computer Chess Championship, give some prizes to the developers. And I think people really find this, obviously man versus machine, I think is a little more interesting for us humans, maybe not. Pete's my teammate who, if he had his way, he would just eliminate me from every chess TV show and just somehow find a way that the computers could talk to each other. But not everybody's like Pete and just prefers computer-on-computer action. For those who still prefer some human dynamic, man versus machine and the material imbalance is the only way to do it, because even Magnus and the best players in the world can't beat engines straight up anymore. So this is fun, but the Computer Chess Championship, I think, is going to be a huge hit. Mark your calendars for mid-November. Is there any other events that we could bring you on Chess.com? I mean, seriously, right? I mean, are you not entertained, Russell Crowe? Thank you. All right. I'm feeling good. I'm going to really focus here. I want to win this game. And this is how the Robot Wars began. Yeah, very funny. That's Shimz77 in the Twitch chat. Everyone remembers the day that the Chess.com Computer Championship became self-aware. Skynet launched an attack. Komodo joined forces with the open source Stockfish, combining efforts of an open source free engine with a monetized engine. What could they do? Artificial intelligence on the chessboard. Everybody remembers the day that Stockfish became self-aware. I want to be like John Connor's mom. What's her name? And I'm like describing it over like a swing set. Yeet, yeet. Right? I'm in a playground, post-apocalyptic world. Yeet, yeet. We should do a promo video for the Chess.com Computer Championship, right? Yeet. Right? It's swinging. Everybody remembers the day the Chess.com Computer Championship became self-aware. Right? Stockfish launched missiles, combining forces with Komodo. Anyway, all right. Enough of my ridiculousness. Here we go. Queen C1. H5. H5 would prevent all these shenanigans. I liked my queen on d5. Now I'm not so sure. But what's the real threat? Like, what is Komodo doing here? I feel like partly the best thing I can do in this position is to try to sit tight and see what's happening next. I still like the idea of c5 at some point, but it may not be necessary anymore, preventing d4 in that way. Bishop h6, rook e8, then what? Bishop g5, I'll trade. I don't see a lot of chances. I get nervous about playing any move that's not like directly conflicting Komodo's plan, because I feel like therefore then I must be missing Komodo's plan, right? It's like playing Karpov in the 70s, right? He's so high level prophylactic strangling you that you wait for a mysterious move, so you try to guess what your plan should be, right? Bishop h6. So there's no threat of g4 as long as the knight is undermined. No threat of h5 as long as I can just take with the queen. Rook D. So how does he engineer these threats? I mean, this rook e4 is possible, but there's no c4. There's no dislodging my queen with the d3 pawn hanging. It just seems very, very limited for white. It makes you think that he must be planning something simple. Bishop f4, bishop g5 on the next move. If he plays bishop h6, I'm debating still. Maybe I'll trade. I don't know. Maybe I'll just play rook e8 because I don't see the follow-up. Okay, that's where it gets dangerous. A5, bishop h6, rook e8, he is queen f4. Double attack on f6 and c7. That's possible. If I take b2, there's chances that bishop gets locked out of things. I don't want to get mated on the dark squares over here. So, okay, let's think. If a5, bishop h6, and I trade, takes, he gets rook e5, skewering my queen and my pawn. Still not the worst thing that could have ever happened in the position. If I move the queen and he takes and I play something like rook a8, I mean, now we're trading and right? You got the rook against the knight in the endgame. Still doesn't seem that great for white. I can play really solidly in here, play something like b6. Bishop h6, bishop g7. Queen f4 anyway, and then I just play like c5. He takes, I take, he gets rook e5. Those positions are getting dangerous, right? Can you feel it? It's getting dangerous. It's a little scary. I feel like maybe I should play bishop g7, and if he wants to go to h6, you know, he has to offer the trade voluntarily. I can also play rook e8, avoid bishop h6 with tempo. If he plays bishop g5, I can trade and then play e5. Huh, okay, I'm getting nervous here. This is real. It just got real up in here. Yeah, queen d5 was inaccurate. Queen d5 was a human centralizing move, but not the most accurate approach for sure. I wonder if I should play bishop h8. Actually, just avoid all the trades. The bishop is so important, right? Rook e8. I've been playing several human feel-good moves. It's catching up with me. a5. If bishop g5, let's say I just take it. Just call the bluff. He takes it. The other human way to play this is put the bishop on h8. If he plays bishop g5, I play rook d7, and my idea is to play f5. Actually, that's a dynamic way to defend the position for sure. Bishop h8. If bishop g5, I can even play f6. He plays bishop h6. I play rook e8. Defending the position, I've got h5. I'm liking this more and more. I like the idea of keeping my bishop. I don't want to get checkmated. It's on, everybody. No more chat interaction. Look forward to the Chess.com Computer Chess Championship. Pretty excited. Ask questions about the team, about the match here, but I gotta bring my A game here if I'm gonna convert on this victory. So, bishop h8. I have kept the dark square bishop. Bishop h6, rook f to e8. There's no e5 square available. And now that I've officially prevented him from trading off my dark square bishop, now I'm really wanting to get c5. Now I really want c5 because I want to prevent d4, and I want to control these squares and really restrict his potential plans. So bishop h8 is the best idea. There were other ideas. And again, it's not that if he trades, it's not like he's guaranteeing checkmate. But if the pieces come off and he starts getting access to these squares, what you don't want to do against the computer is create opportunities where it's like they're playing up a piece, right? Like the rook and the knight and the queen, maybe the three active pieces, and maybe I'm only active with a queen and a rook, right? And again, okay, obviously that's like, duh, Danny, you don't want to give a computer a piece advantage, right? But it's more than that, right? I don't know if those of you who follow the Old Man versus Machine show, one of the only matches I ever lost when I was down like a rook or a piece or something was when basically he launched an attack on the king side, and I was up a rook, but it was like sitting over here on the other side of the board. And the computers are so accurate and so dangerous with their attack, and human beings blunder, that giving him an attack and requiring myself to calculate accurate defensive moves in a blitz game was just a bad decision. So I have this little tendency in me to avoid. I don't want to create a scenario where the computer can outplay me, in a specific area of the board, and my material advantage is not necessarily felt. So I'm probably biased toward plans because of that. Again, it's a practical game where I can't just outcalculate the computer, with hours on the clock. So that's my reasoning behind bishop h8. There you go. And again, I might meet bishop g5 with f6. He moves and move here. So originally you might think, oh, that's a little weakening. But actually, if I get that full coordination, I'm not worried about checkmate, I can slowly expand. And I also still have a majority over here, right? I can slowly play over here. So I really want to keep the lions at bay and not allow him to simplify into some position that opens up avenues. Like, okay, if I had let him trade off my dark square bishop, he even has threats like queen h6 and knight g5, and then I made it on h7. And those are general things. I never calculated a concrete line where that was possible, but but you have to be aware of that. So I feel good about bishop h8. I did it. We did it. We did it. Yeah, Loisimos. We did it. Thank you, Dora. Okay. So he really wants to trade off that dark square bishop. Nothing feels better than c5 here. And I might even threaten c4. I'm going to trust my instincts and play this move and not spend a ton of time calculating like I'm about to make a blunder against the computer. c5 feels good. I need to save my time. Got to play it. Rook d7 was the other move to guard the c-pawn. But, he could play knight e5 with tempo, and then I got to trade the dark square bishop. Hashtag no thank you. c5. I'm not sure I'm playing c4, but I like this move. c5. I'm not sure I'm playing c4, but I like this move. I can also prepare b5 and c4. I can play b5 and c4. I can play a5 and a4 and b5. I think my initial intention is sort of cautious. I was like, yeah, I'll play c5 and b6 and kind of hold the pawn, but I don't know that that's actually necessary. And I think if you put the knight on e5 and I don't have to deal with anything, I might just ignore it. Play b5. He can play knight g4, and then he's headed into the h6 square. That could be a problem. So if knight e5, b5, knight g4, he's threatening knight h6 check. I can play h5 there. Knight h6 check, king h7. Right? I mean, unfortunately, the sad truth about chess is that it is a very difficult game. And there's no way you don't win chess games against strong players, whether that's just an IM or a GM or someone like Komodo. You don't beat title players without having to calculate concretely at some point. The game doesn't play themselves. You don't just get to outplay them in a warm and cozy manner. You have to calculate tactics and be ready to simplify. So he really wants to trade off the dark square bishop like I anticipated he did. It's because he wants the plan of queen h6 and knight to g5. And I'm really not interested. And I'm going to trust my initial evaluation that this was my plan. The difference is that in this line, he may bring the bishop back to c3, but I'm going to play b5. If he plays queen e3, hitting e6, I can actually play b4 with tempo on the bishop, and then guard e8. This is not the happiest move I've ever played, right? If I could drop the pawn back to f7 and open up the bishop at some point, I would, and the pawn would protect e6. But that's not a possibility, right? And we know that this is going to become dynamic because Komodo is going to bring the pressure. But the thing I have to do is continue to remain focused and use the fact that I have some time now. We've seen me lose games under time pressure against Komodo. That's the problem. You don't want to be in a time scramble against a blunderless beast, right? It may be down material, but engines don't blunder, even when they have no time on the clock. Human beings do. So you don't want to get down on time. You want to find a way to get an advantage while you still have a decent amount of time to convert upon it. Okay. If he brings the bishop back to g3 or something, am I worried about the queen coming to e3 and hitting e6? I didn't know. I didn't have the power. I love her. Always have. Okay, so he goes for this line. I wanted to play b5. The only question is, am I being overly aggressive? Should I defend the pawn first? Should I play rook d7 first? These are prophylactic moves. B5 is also very aggressive. c4. Why am I not playing c4? If c4 and d4, well, now he's closed up the bishop, right? Does that seem right? Doesn't seem great for him. If he takes, I take with the queen, and that's more open files for but then he gets h5. I'm going to play b5, which kind of also prepares c4, and not commit to defending e6 yet. Don't want to go in for this playing blind, but I feel like intuitively I need to trust my instincts here to expand on the queen side. No blind. No blindfold chess. I could play the computer blindfold chess. That would be a like maybe you give me a rook advantage, but I have to play blindfolded. That could be crazy. Is somebody writing down these ideas? Pete, Matt, let's write down all of our ideas here. Meaning all of Danny's stupid ideas. All of our ideas here, right? I'm literally the definition of the fridge idea, right? We were inebriated in some way, and something hit the fridge, and it's the greatest. You're my best friend, and it's the greatest idea ever, right? You're my best friend, and it's the greatest idea you've ever had, and it's my favorite idea you ever did. Thanks for writing your ideas down, Danny. All right. Queen h6, rook e8. If queen e3, I could also play e5. This one is, do not put this past your Uncle Sasha. He might get real jiggy with this guy. And get aggressive, da? Uncle Sasha loves those American, the American cheerleaders, the B-E-A-G-G-R-E-S-S-I-V-E, your B, da, aggressive, da, B, aggressive, da. Uncle Sasha loves be aggressive. Although, remember, in Russia we have no soft ass sound. It is only ah. Okay, so he does this one. I am thinking about this e5 square. The problem is the pony comes from d2 to e4, and we have a problem here. I am very nervous about his knight coming in there. I have several ways to guard this yeshispondo. Ladya, deshest, is one of them. And possibly I can play b4. Should I play b4 now? It's possible. It's possible, but maybe unnecessary. Rook e8, he has queen f4 coming in some positions, but then I have e5, right? Because then he's lost the tempo. e5 and c4 feels like the initiative is getting a little overwhelming for him. I'm really nervous about playing rook e8, even though I kind of want to. Rook e8. And there are threats of like either b4 and a5 and a4, or playing c4, even though a7 is hanging. Right? So rook e8, queen f6, e5, queen back to e3. Because if rook e8, queen f4, e5, queen h6, e4, get aggressive, open up the center for the rooks. Rook e8, queen f4, e5, if queen e3, c4, queen takes to a7, c takes d3, c takes d3, queen takes d3. The 7th rank is exposed, but the position is opening up, and I'm simplifying. e5 right away maybe runs into knight to d2. Oh, if e5, knight d2, b4 traps the bishop, though. But still, why do that, right? I can also play rook d to e8, right? And just defend both. If I play rook d to e8, I've got all the defense I ever wanted. Everything the body needs. Not everything the body needs. Rook d to e8. Because we're not really afraid of d4, right? I mean, that's not really a thing we're afraid of. We may be afraid of rook a1. But we can always play rook to d7 or e7. Rook fe8, queen f4. I just don't really buy that he wants to lose that tempo. All right, I'm going rook f to e8 because I like the rook on the d file. I can't be a passive human being here against Komodo. I have to be aggressive. I can also meet queen f4 in some positions with queen f5 and offer the trade. If he brings the queen into c7, that's a bit of a problem. like right away, but okay, like if he plays rook a1, rook d7, queen f4, queen f5, like I'm gonna beat the lions back here, and at some point, you bet your uncle c4's coming. You bet your bottom dollar. Isn't that a thing people say? You bet your bottom dollar, right there. Oh man. Yeah, this is tough. This is tough. Checking on the chat. People having fun. Still guessing who Dr. Tancredi is on Chess.com. Nope. Y'all don't know. Thanks for being here, man vs. Machine. Probably my last check-in on the chat before we get really under time pressure. Checking on the Chess TV chat. Silver Orange's biggest fear is that computers will solve the game and spoil it. But you know, there's always Chess 960, which even if computers solved it, I don't even, in a computer I can fathom, the answer is they can't solve it. And even if they could, human beings could never, establish that. So I'm not as worried about that fear as Silver Orange is in Chess TV. All right, b3 makes sense because he wants to be able to back up the bishop on that diagonal. I still want to play c4 badly. If I play rook d7, though, he might play knight to d2, right? He's defending. He is defending well. I almost have to go for like e5 and f5, right? And be aggressive. If c4, though, takes a7, I feel like I should probably go for c4 while the a7 pawn is hanging and not allow knight to d2. I just instinctively, I feel like if he gets the knight to d2 and I can't play c4, because he'll just take, and play knight. I feel like if I can't open up lines with a rook, I'm going to get outplayed, especially under time pressure. Just from a practical perspective, I don't like my chances against the engine if we're still playing this position 10 minutes from now. So I like c4. And if takes, and he takes a7, I'm going to take. If rook d1, I can take again. And when he takes, I get a queen with check. So if c4 takes, if he takes and I take with the queen and then he takes a7, I win the bishop, right? It feels like c4 is that aggressive move that even if the computer thinks it gives him some sort of small material back, like I need to open up the position. And again, it's partly justified from this perspective that I'm nervous about the position just staying this way for a ton more time. Okay, the biggest issue is if takes, queen takes, he has h5. That's the move I've been trying to avoid this whole time with my queen guarding this square. But as the position opens up, it may be less of a worry. I slide over to g4, or even I play like rook c8 there and hit the bishop. If he moves the bishop, I take on c2, which also guards the pawn. Yeah, I'm going for it. I believe there's a good chance I give him some dynamic possibilities here. Tactics against Komodo are not a thing people fantasize about, but I think I need to do something from a practical point of view. This is a rapid game, and I can't get under time pressure without some more clarity. I can't do it. c4. It's always nice to know you're not getting mated on the 7th rank, right? It's nice. aggressive. Be aggressive. Hey, be aggressive. Be aggressive. Hey. BEAGGRESSIVE. Yo, be aggressive. Be aggressive. Why did he go for this instead of the queen being on d3? I guess because he wants h5 in the end. If he takes a7 and I take, and he takes, and I take with the queen, he still can't play h5 right away. The bishop is hanging. Oh, maybe he's going to play b4 now. That could be it. He could play b4 now. And, yeah, that's what he's going to do. And if I play a6, he might even play something like queen to b6. I can play queen f5 and hit c2. Rook to d7 is my first instinct because it guards and guards everything, and he can't skewer me. So rook d7 feels right. If knight to d4, I think it's finally time to play e5. If I'm given the chance, do I really want to play queen f5? He plays knight d4, forking my queen and pawn and defending, and then I play queen g4 with threats of e5. It's going to get aggressive here, and at some point I might be able to trick the computer, everybody, by playing a move like this and let him trade queens to win his material back. And then we go into an endgame where I feel like I can win with the extra rook, and I've made my human job easier to avoid blundering against a supercomputer, right? So if I can simplify right now into an endgame by getting the queens off the board and giving back one of my pawns, I will do it in a heartbeat. So watch out for that. That's one of the things I'm going to try to shoot for here. If I had the move, what's my move? Possibly even bishop g7. Get the bishop off the back rank. It's guarded by the rook so that I don't worry about tactics there. Seems a little passive. The other move, again, is rook to e to d8 and do what I said I was going to do. Right? If he trades queens, I take. I play king f7. He goes to c6, though, and goes and picks up that pawn. I have to be careful. I don't want to lose my winning chances just to take off the pieces. The other move I'm kind of wanting to play is king f7, which might guard the e6 pawn, right? That's actually another reason to play bishop g7 and king to f7, right? Get everything back on the 7th rank and guarded. You know, as long as there's no tactics with the queen hitting the king here, right? I have things like queen f5. And perhaps I'm just overthinking all of it. I mean, if it's my move, why not play e5? Is he really in a position to play h5 and get a big attack anymore? It's certainly less likely than it was before. It may be still possible. So if e5, h5, queen f7, takes and takes, my threat there is rook to d8. And if I start getting doubled rooks on the d file, I think he's got problems. I think Komodo has problems. He's got a lot of problems. First of all, his breath. Why don't you stop eating live animals, Komodo, and take care of your hygiene? How about that? He is bluffing. Is he really going to take a7? Somehow, I doubt it. If e5 takes a7, takes, queen d1 check is met by knight e1. But if e5 takes a7 takes, and then I play rook a8, he moves the queen over to e7 or something. Could be a little irritating, to be honest. So maybe he's not bluffing. Maybe I don't want to lose that pawn. I love the idea of trading rooks, though. I'll tell you that. Queen f5. He has knight d4 still. e5 takes, I can play rook a8 right away. If he trades on d7 and plays queen to b6, I don't know. I don't really want to let him win the a7 pawn. I really don't. I've decided. It's against my current goals all of a sudden. Before I was okay with the simplification, but now I don't want to allow it. So if I play rook e to e7, can I really get away with this? Seems scary to expose the 8th rank. Rook a5 is not really a threat, right? Because queen d1 check, if he has to play knight e1 there with the rook on a5, doesn't seem to be the best. Although those are dangerous words against Komodo. Doesn't seem to be the best. If I move my rook, and he takes, and I take, and he takes, and I play queen d1 check, and he plays king h2, can I take that pawn? It would seem yes. Maybe not, though. I'd like to get a line where I get queen d1 check, and with his knight on e1, I have f5, sort of undermining the bishop's protection of the knight. I don't know how to do that. If h5 takes check. It's tough. I really don't think I can let him take that pawn, at least not right away. I feel like I need to get e5 and f5 and expand. I'm going to play a move that's against my better Karpovian instincts. This move is against my better Karpovian instincts. I do not like exposing the 8th rank, and neither does Karpov. Check in f5 is a possibility if the knight on e1 is hanging, but I don't really want to do it if it's not, because obviously f5 is just such a weakening move, right? Just not ideal. I need to find a way to force a queen trade. I still like the idea of e5, even if it means I got to back the queen up, go here, and slowly double rooks on the d file. I still like this idea. If he plays rook a5, where am I putting my queen? I assume queen d1 check, but I wasn't totally sure. This is gonna be a real tough. This is gonna be a real tough one down the stretch. Honestly, I'm nervous. I truly am nervous. Time pressure is commencing. All right. So what's he doing with queen e2? He's threatening knight d2. That's what he's doing. You have to ask every move. What is his next move? What is his next move? What is his next move? He's threatening knight to d2. That's what he wants. And then if I have to guard the pawn, he gets to play rook to d1. That's his idea. If e5, knight d2, rook c7, rook to d1, I play the other rook to d7. And as much as that seems scary, what's he doing? If e5, rook a5, queen back to f7, or e6. Knight to d2, I guard it. He plays knight e4. That's why my queen should be on f7. And I play rook d7. So if e5, knight d2, rook to c7, rook a5, queen f7, knight e4, rook over to d7. He can play rook a6 and try to gang up on the f6 pawn. I want to double on the d file so bad it hurts. But no longer living my life afraid of h5. I'm cutting off the queen in exchange for expanding my center, guarding d4. If I get moves, you know, if I can get the queen here, I want to double rooks on the d file. I feel like that's my most direct path to simplify. I have to play fast here. I have to play fast. I don't know. I don't know what's next. If I can play rook to c7. If he does nothing, now that the e-pawn is sort of protected, right? I mean, I'm going to play rook e8 and rook over. Oh, I think. Crack in the back. Not sure if you guys can hear it. Knight d2 gains the tempo on the pawn. One funny question is, I wish there was a way I could just give up the c-pawn, right? If knight to d2, is it possible I can just play like rook e8? Knight d2, rook e8. If he takes on c4, I play rook to c8 and try to skewer, right? Although he has knight e3 with tempo there, it's probably less than ideal. Yeah, I should defend the pawn. I should defend the pawn. Rook a5, queen e6, rook c5, rook c7, takes, actually has knight d4 there. No, I can take. Queen e6 takes, he gets c7, I win the bishop. So if rook a5, queen e6, rook c5, rook c7, takes. Okay, he plays knight to d2, as expected. I think I have to play the rook over and trust my instincts. I had already calculated this. I think I have to follow through. Can't afford to take a ton of time here. And if he plays knight e4 now, could I play f5? He moves the knight. It's super scary to go for that, you know? Probably if knight e4, actually rook c6 is interesting, right? Guard f6, nice prophylactic move, prevent rook a6. Okay, he goes for this. So we looked at this line. If queen to e6, knight to e4. That's the issue. And if rook d7, he has knight c5 there. So queen f7 is probably my move. But if I go queen f7, I'm leaving the 6th rank exposed. My queen is that much more passive. It worries me. If queen f7, rook c5, take, rook c7, bishop b4, I can even play a5. That doesn't seem so great. Queen f7, what's my goal? My goal is to get the rook to the d file and go from there. Feels scary. Feels like Komodo is on the hunt here. It feels like Komodo is on the hunt, and he's going to play something like queen e4. You know, activating the queen, threatening to come into the 8th rank. If queen e4, I can play rook c8. And if rook d5, rook d7, takes, knight takes c4, I have queen to c6, forcing a queen trade. If queen e4, rook c8, rook d5, rook d7, rook takes, knight c4, queen c6 would force a queen trade. Maybe there's other stuff too. If queen e4, rook to c8, what's his next move? Because if there's nothing, okay, he goes for h5. I'm actually okay with this. This is a move that I feel like allows me to coordinate the position. And I'm not even going to think about taking it. He may, oops, I right-clicked. He may be preparing h6. But I'm not so worried about that. If I get another move here, I'm probably going to play rook d5 and then double maybe on the d file. Or play f5. I'm a little worried about my bishop. Clearly. But if he plays h6, I can play f5. Can he take e5? Bishop takes, rook e7, trading off everything. If h6, f5, bishop takes e5, rook takes e5, rook e7. It's all coming off, baby. Knight takes c4. Queen takes c4, queen takes, rook takes e7. That's not good. h6, f5, bishop e5. I can play rook e7 first. If he plays f4, there I can take, and if he takes with the pawn, so I'm I've given back a pawn and my king is open, but I've traded off something significant. His king is open. I also, in the end of that line, if h6, f5, bishop e5, rook e7, f4, takes, I have queen f8 hitting h6, queen e3, and then what? I need to get my rooks coordinated better than they are. If h6, rook d8, if h6, okay, good, he takes it. I'm happy with this. Komodo, I feel like a human move would have been h6 to try to create some sort of weird tactical threat. But he takes there, which again I'm okay with. I mean, I'm avoiding my bishop getting totally trapped there. The h-file, I think, could help me if the d-file becomes open. Plus, for the first time in the match, despite all my, extra antics in the beginning of the show, doing commentary and kind of having fun, probably lost a few minutes there. We're about to be even on time, which feels good. Am I threatening rook d5 here? If rook d5, knight takes c4. Rook takes a5, knight takes, I win the bishop, pawn takes, I win the knight. So I am threatening rook d5 if you want to say that's a threat. And if rook d5, and if he backs up, if rook d5, rook a1, I can actually play a5, because if knight c4, I can take, queen takes, and then rook d1 checks, sacrificing and winning the queen. So if like rook d5, rook a1, f5, if he took here, I can take everything here, and at the end, his queen is undefended to my queen for a discovered attack. So just an interesting idea. I can also possibly play rook back to c8, giving me the flexibility of choosing between the rook coming to d8. Okay, interesting. So he goes to a6. This makes sense, actually. This makes a lot of sense. Yeah, plus these pawns are weak now. That's kind of the advantage of him getting this whole h5 thing. So I certainly have to be careful. If I play queen up to d5, he can play queen to g4. That's a problem. If I play f5 here and he takes with the bishop, now I can take and play rook takes d2? Would seem that way. f5 seems like suicide, though. I mean, f5 is like opening the rook to hit g6. It doesn't feel good. Doesn't feel good, does it? I wish I could challenge his rook on the 6th rank. That's the problem with my rooks not being coordinated. If I play rook d5, I'm preparing to play there. And then I can challenge him on the 6th rank. If rook d5 and he plays queen g4, and I double, and he takes on c4, I can take here. If he takes with the knight, I can play rook g4 check. Rook d1 check, I mean, and then queen h7 check, and then, I don't know, just seemed like that would be a bad idea for him. I'd love to move my queen somewhere and challenge his rook, but he has queen 2-4 coming. I wonder if it's high time I improve my bishop, actually. The bishop is the one piece that's really not participating in a productive manner. You know, bishop to g7 is interesting from that perspective. Right? Just get the bishop back in. I'm maybe going to play bishop f8. But he has knight e4 coming. And I have to be super careful about that. I'm really nervous about this position, actually. He's also playing knight e4 here very soon. Oh, man. He has knight e4 coming. Should I play f5? As dangerous as it seems? If f5, knight f3, and e4, if he takes h8, I can actually take there with tempo. If f5, knight f3, e4, knight g5, that's a problem. A big problem. If f5, knight f3, I have problems. So that's a no-go. That is a no-go. Rook e7 prepares rook e6. That's what it does. If rook e7, he plays queen e4, and I play rook e6, let's just see how crazy. No, he can take and take g6. If rook e7, queen e4, and f5, he can play queen a8 check. And then if rook e8, he backs up. And then maybe I can play e4, actually. Force a trade. If rook e7, f5, queen e8 check, rook e8. If f5 and he moves the queen somewhere else, I can also play e4. I'm okay with playing f5 if I can get e4 before his knight comes into f3. Rook e7, queen e4. Am I really prepared to go? There's also king h7 as a move. What was my problem with bishop g7 again? Bishop g7, knight e4, I guess, was the problem. And then I have queen to d5, and if he takes f6 takes, rook takes, queen d1 takes, king moves. You know, I can rook c1, he takes e5, he gets g6. That's probably less than ideal as well. Okay, I'm going to go for this. Yeah. And why did I think rook e6 was okay? I think. Oh man, this is tough. Oh man, this is tough. If he takes, I take. There's no immediate follow-up tactics, right? If he plays knight d6 right away here, I don't think he gets anything, right? I can move my queen and attack his knight. At least that's what I thought I was going to do. If knight d6, queen d7. If queen g4, I actually maybe have f5 there. Now he can take with the knight. No, he can't. I can take here. So if knight d6, queen d7. That's what happens when you give a lizard a computer. Things get tough. What else can he do? What else can he do? Yeah, I think he's going to just back up the rook. I think he's just going to back up the rook. It makes the most sense, actually. Yeah. And now my issue is it's getting harder. But I think I can play bishop g7 now and try to get bishop f8, and I'm just trying to slowly kind of unwind here because the c4 pawn isn't hanging. So I'm going to play bishop g7 now. If he plays knight to c5, I can move my rook and my queen guards c4, right? So he's not winning my pawn. I mean, my next move, I don't know. I mean, maybe I'll even try to expand fully and play f5. I don't know. That seems unnecessary. It feels like getting the bishop here feels like a good idea. It feels safe. Guards squares from the knight. Guards c5. Hits b4. Trying to get that piece that's been out of the game and hurting me for so long back into the action. But time is ticking, as they say. And this is nerve-wracking. I can't believe I'm doing this again tomorrow at 10 a.m. This is gonna be a long week for me on Chess TV. And then we got speed chess on Wednesday and Thursday. Yeah. Lots of talking, yeah? You're like, oh yeah, right, Danny, talking is so easy, right? But it's like my voice is like my musical instrument, all right? So like if it goes out, it's like I can't do anything for you. Rook d5. He's still not threatening. Shizer. I don't know what to do here. If I move the rook to e8, he has knight d6. No, he doesn't. If rook e8, knight d6, I can take his rook. Rook e8, he can move the rook back, and then I can... No. Rook e8, maybe he'll play rook d6, but then I can offer another trade. If bishop f8, he can play rook d8, and if rook e8, knight d6. And if takes is rook, he takes. I take with the king. I actually have two rooks for the queen there. It's not the worst idea ever to play bishop f8. And if he plays rook d8, to play rook e8. But rook e8 immediately is also possible. And why not just prevent rook d8? Plus, if bishop f8, if he plays rook d8, can I play rook d7? Takes, takes. He takes c4. I'm getting trades off finally. If rook e8 and he plays rook to d8. No. If rook e8 and he plays knight to d6, I can take his rook. If rook e8 and he plays rook to d6, I can play rook e6 and play tickle if I want. No, but then he'll play rook d8. I feel like I need to play this bishop f8, and if he plays rook d8, whether I end up playing king to g7 or rook e8 and kind of going for that sacrifice, it's certainly interesting, because the 2 rooks for the queen there would be kind of tough for him. Bishop f8 is played. One of my team, Pete, who loves the computer, said we should just do this Monday through Friday. Pete loves watching me suffer. And like we said, he's one step away from wishing computers did everything, including his job. Just kidding, Pete. All right, bishop f8 is played. He now has the d file. He's played queen to d1, and he has the d file. The d file has been had. But at least if he plays knight to d6, I can trade. That's the bright side here, right? So if I play rook e8, what's my plan? I'm willing to trade now because the dark squares are not going to be the end of the world immediately. I can also play king g7, but tactically putting the king on that diagonal feels super scary, right? The biggest problem with rook e8 is I need to threaten. I have to threaten to trade here and simplify, or I'm just going to get grind down here under time pressure. King g7. All right, let's call his bluff. Let's see what's going on here. Playing interesting. So he goes for g4. Komodo must think he's better here or something. It's just insane. My thought was I could play g5. Oh, but then he gets the f5 square. Position is becoming harder and harder. It's amazing to just get outplayed like this by the engine. It's phenomenal. Seriously, it just like marveling. I don't know. Going back. Gotta play fast here and see if I can hold something. Hold some kind of idea under time pressure. If g5, f5, g5, f5, knight f6, takes, queen takes, bishop takes e5, queen g5 check, bishop g3, and then I move my rook somewhere, like rook h7. He moves his rook down to try to come in with the queen. g5, g5, f5. All right, we got to go for this. He's going to play knight f6 check. And I got to sacrifice the exchange back. But I'm up 2 pawns in that position. I guess I could move the king on knight f6 check, but there's no way that's good. No. Gotta take it. Yeah, this is only move. And after he takes it, I would love to be able to save this e-pawn with something like e4. But something tells me I would get mated. So I think we got to go for this line. Try to use our 2-pawn advantage and flip the script over here. I guess I'm only going to be a 1 pawn, right? Yeah. Bishop takes. Queen g5 check. If he moves the king, I can swing over, right? I'm getting an attack. If rook takes, queen g5 check. King moves. And then he's got queen d5 check coming. So that doesn't look very fun. That looks less than ideal, actually. Rook takes e5. Darn it. Rook takes is a better move than bishop takes. Bishop takes is the one you consider first, right? Because of feels like it's more forcing. But now the fact that he's got this d5 square coming really is tough for me. I can play queen g5 check, and if king f1, I can offer the queen trade and try to hold a draw. He takes, and gets f5. And I'm definitely in a worse ending. If queen g5, king here, queen up to h4. If queen d5 check, rook f7. All right, I'm going to go for this. Queen f7 was the other move, and it would hold the d5 square. So it's possible that that was also along the lines of something I should have done. But I feel like I should still be able to hold this, or at least have chances to hold it. If queen h4, queen d5 check, rook to f7. I don't really want to come under that pin, right? I mean, if I play rook e7 here and he plays queen d5 check, and then I can play king h7, right? And then he plays queen to d8. But I have queen c1 check. I wonder if I should have just played queen f7 last move and then tried to play rook e7 and trade. Don't know. Don't know. But too late now. Yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery. And today is a gift. That is why it is called the present. Forget about the past. I can't play rook h7 because queen d5 check. I think I need to try to simplify the position out and hope for some sort of difficulty for white going for a perpetual. Okay, I'm going rook e7. And if queen d5 check, king h7. If he takes c4, queen d5 check, king h7. If he takes c4, you have queen to c1 check. Maybe. Plays rook e1, I can take it. And it just got real. It just got real. Right? This is nutty. This is absolutely crazy right now. I am like, I am on the edge. I am an FBI agent, Bodie. I know, isn't it wild? Right? Hashtag Point Break. Hashtag best Keanu Reeves movie ever. If he takes, I can take with the queen, right? Oh, he has queen h1 check. This is a problem there. No, if I take with the bishop, it's a problem because he has queen f7 check, king up. Am I not mated there? Queen g7, king h5. Maybe I can get out. Focus town. Bishop e7, queen f7 check. If bishop e7, queen takes c4, queen c1 check, bishop e1, he can also do that. So bishop e7 is... So I'm losing the c4 pawn no matter what. If queen e7 and he plays queen h1 check, and I play bishop h6, then if he plays bishop d2, I can defend with queen g7. So I feel like I have to go queen e7. I need to just defend against these mate threats. Komodo is bringing the noise right now. Crab cakes and football. Okay, he takes it. I think I want to offer the bishop trade. Take away the fact that I might be getting mated any second with his bishop peering down on my king. Tell him to get out of my house here. If bishop takes g7, king takes g7, queen d4 check, king f7. If c4, I can take on b4. If he takes, I can also take with the queen. You know, then he moves. Then queen b5, so we can advance the c pawn, and then I can try to start giving checks. Okay, so he doesn't want to do it. He wants to maintain more fighting chances with the queens on the board. Makes sense. I think I can push g5, though. I think I can push g5 and play king to g6 and continue to try to advance on my own king side. You're not the only one who can move their pawns, okay, Komodo? You're not the only one. Why don't you stick your tongue back in your mouth, Komodo? How about that? How about you stop taking your tongue at people, little lizard? I'll play king g6, right? Should I be pushing the g pawn? Or pushing the g pawn to try to create some sort of chances for a perpetual, right? Seems like an okay idea. Queen to b7 is also possible here. Nah, then he'll get queen c6. So I'm gonna play g4. Play g4. I'd like to swing in and go get a perpetual, but I'm not sure it's going to happen. Maybe he can get out. Obviously, the a7 pawn is a target, so pretty smart idea by him to keep the bishops on the board and then play b5, because now this pawn is weak, and if he has his way, he'll ring the bishop over and kind of gang up on it. So, some high-quality chess, not surprising from Komodo. Perhaps. So if I get here, I am threatening check, right? Because if king up, I have queen f3 check. Like, if the position stayed the same. And if he ran, we got problems. All right? You and I. All right, we got problems. All right? All right. All right, you'll get over here. You'll forget about it, right? Jimmy. All right, so if I get that, then I'm doing okay. So now if I play king g6, and he plays queen c6 check, I can offer the queen trade again. But then if he takes and I take, now that pawn is committed, and he can try to get the bishop to that diagonal. So it's a little scary, right? If I play king g6, and he plays queen c6 check, and I just, like, move my king. He's got the queen on the right diagonal, right? So he's guarding everything. That's a very nice move by Komodo because he's guarding all of these squares. What happens if I trade queens? I have to calculate this just so I know. And that's an important skill and muscle to have in any of your own endgames. You don't want to avoid calculating the trades because at some point those things happen, and you kind of want to know whether that's good for you or not. You got to calculate trades in advance. It helps your bigger picture approach to the position to know what transitions are good for you and what transitions are bad for you. If queen e5, queen takes, bishop d2, and I play bishop d4 and he plays bishop e3, if I trade there, king g6, c4, king f6, c5, king e6, b6, takes, king d7, I actually am inside the box, right? I don't really want to do that, but if I play king g6 and he plays queen c6 check and I play king f7, it's possible I could offer a queen trade if my king is close enough. If king g6, queen c6 check, king f7, and he plays bishop d2, king g6, he can also play bishop d2 immediately. That's actually even better. And then if I play queen a3, plays bishop e3. It's getting tougher and tougher. Oh man, this is getting tougher and tougher. But I have to guard this pawn. I can't not guard the pawn, right? I want to trade off the bishops badly. If queen e5 takes right away. Feels like I can't trade queens. It feels like I'm going to lose the bishop ending. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's key to defend. Oh man. Queen e5 takes, c4, bishop d4. Oh, I actually lose the king and pawn ending, huh? So I can't do that. It's not an option. If king g6 though, and he moves the bishop, I'm not even threatening to play. Oh no, I can do that. Okay, I'm playing king g6. And my thinking now is on either queen c6 check or bishop d2. I think I'm going to play bishop f6. If bishop d2, bishop f6, bishop e3, bishop here. Offer the bishop trade. No, he's queen g8 check. And I'm busted. Oh man, this just got even harder. Here comes bishop d2. We knew it was coming. All of his pieces are guarded, and none of mine are. Not good. Bishop f6, bishop e3, bishop g5. Queen g8 check. King h5. If bishop f6, bishop e3. He's not threatening the a7 pawn yet, so I could play like king g7. Then he plays queen a8. And it's getting harder to hold back the demons. Okay, if bishop g5, this was my idea. Queen g8 check, king h5. There's no check there. Check there, I retreat. If he takes and takes, then he has queen h7 check, queen h6, queen takes f5, king h4. Likely a bad idea, but queen trades might actually help me. I might need to go for a queen trade. As long as I'm not losing the king and pawn endgame race, which I don't think I am. he plays check on g8, I can also play king h6, right? I have to open up some sort of opportunity for perpetual and hope the computer goes for something that he thinks is winning because of material, but it gives me a chance for perpetual. It's my only chance. But this is definitely getting tougher and tougher here. Tougher and tougher. Okay, he plays bishop c5. It's the problem with time pressure. Didn't even have time to calculate that one properly. Did not even have time to calculate that one properly. And that could be a big problem. If he plays check and I block, does he just have bishop d4? He does, but I can... What's the next move? What's his next move? What's his next move? Queen e8 check? It's too bad on queen e8 check that I can't just run forward to h4 because queen h8, right? So if queen e8 check... Oh, and then I have to go king h6 and he has bishop f8. I'm just dead. Queen e8 check, king h6, bishop f8. I didn't see that. Only move, bishop f8, king h7. Where's his final blow? I don't see it. Maybe queen h5 check. But then I can play king g8. He takes, I take. He takes with check, I move. You know. What's the deal? He just wants to go win the f5 pawn. That's the deal. Okay. Well, my hope is if he goes for that, I can play queen here and have drawing chances. Did you think about that, Komodo? Did you think about that? I'm sure you did, and I'm sure I'm a few moves away from resigning, because anytime I think I'm doing okay... Wait, so now he's just going to play bishop e3, and that guards b5. Okay. So I thought I had a double attack on this and this threat, right? b5 and h1. But if he plays bishop e3, he guards the pawn, and if check on h1, king e2, I have no check because he just trades queens and wins. So I'm expecting bishop e3. Expecting bishop to e3. And that, my friends, might be it. Not going to resign here because I want to play it out for those less experienced members of our audience. Let them see me get killed to the point where it's obvious. I mean, it is obvious. So that's tough. I wonder where I went wrong. Obviously going to have to spend some time analyzing it. I'm sure Larry will tell me where I let my advantage slip. But obviously something started going wrong there. Probably overreacted with this whole bishop h8 plan in f6. Maybe I should let him trade. But I don't know. Oh man, I know this is going to be tough. Long week. So if you just tuned in, we have a full match. This is a 3-game match between yours truly and the Team Komodo. Tomorrow's shows are at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. Pacific. It is a 3-game match. Different material odds each time. And you can follow along and even play Guess the Move at Chess.com/live. And you can also use this as a precursor for the Speed Chess Championships. We got matches on Wednesday and Thursday this week. This might be the best week of Chess TV of your life. All right, I think I have to try to hold for one more second, see if he trades into the king and pawn ending. My guess is he will do what Komodo does and play the move c4 here and I am in Zugzwang. Of course, he can trade everything on g5. If white trades everything here in the end, that king and pawn ending, white's just winning because he has the extra pawn, and there's no way I'm going to be able to hold the position. So for those more beginner players, it's just over. c4 does the same thing, except I'm just totally stuck, right? I can't do anything. I'm stuck to guarding this, and it's over. Okay, he goes for this. I don't think there's any kind of mate here. I don't think he's playing this. I think he'll just trade queens and go win the king and pawn ending. This would be the easiest thing for him to do, and the most clear display. Okay, the most clear display of technique. I guess he's checking so he can put my king on a slightly worse square. Damn you, Komodo. Damn you and your positional accuracy. Damn you, Komodo. Look at that. Look at that one tempo accurate. It's like, was that necessary? Rubbing a little salt in my wound, Komodo. Wait till I pounce on you tomorrow. All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for being here. I know you have a lot of choices when you go to chess.com/TV, so I thank you for flying with us. I know you got a lot of choices at chess.com TV. Thanks for being here, actually. Thanks for giving me your support in the chat, for all those of you who were encouraging me on. Obviously, I think I played pretty well to start. I like my Scandinavian approach, hashtag Team Scandi. Felt like I had it on the roll there. I think bishop h8 was unnecessary. I think I started to take a little bit too much of a passive approach. But as typical Danny fashion, I spent a lot of time on my clock trying to provide some education for you guys, and unfortunately also messing around a little bit. And then in hindsight, when I don't have a lot of time, it's tough though. That's what makes it fun and interesting, and is kind of the interaction. And also then, if I had more time, maybe I would have converted on that middle game a little better. But overall, you have to tip your hat to the world's strongest chess computer. I'm only playing out a couple more moves so that our most beginner audience can see that there is no way for Black's king to stop the pawn. I am outside of the box, as they say. This is the box. You draw a little diagonal to wherever the pawn is, the box, and you have to be inside the box. So I have to be here, and I am not inside the box. So that means I am one tempo short. That rule works even if you're here and the pawn's here, then you are inside the box, because there the pawn would be like this, right? So if your king was here, you'd be inside the box. That's how you know you're going to catch the pawn. So here, I am not inside the box, and Komodo gets a queen, and I shall resign. So, lots of fun. Thanks for being here, everybody. I am going to lick my wounds. No, seriously, I expect this to be tough. This was a lot of fun. And see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. for round 2. The material odds position will be different, so it should be fun. I think I get to be white tomorrow against a missing f7 pawn in a couple moves. I don't remember, which is a tough one. The initiative really requires a lot of focus, so hopefully I play that one in the morning. That's the only game where I'm white. And then we got one more where I'm black, I think, and up a couple pawns. Maybe I'm also white in that one, up a couple pawns, but it's not the same. So interesting and instructive, I think, to see all kinds of ways you can try to convert material, the initiative, how do you have to be accurate, what's the psychology, what's the approach in those circumstances. And obviously, if you're someone like Pete and you're rooting for computers to take over humanity, I mean, he's literally counting the clock until Skynet becomes self-aware, then you also enjoy watching Danny Rensch get his face kicked in by the world's strongest chess engine. So I love you all. Believe it or not, that's a true statement. I got a lot of love, a lot of global empathy. Appreciate who you are. Okay, no, but seriously, thanks for being here at watching us on Chess.com, whether you're at my site or you're at Twitch TV, our site, or whatever you are. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it, and I'm going to sign off. Root a boot new.